What's going on YouTube? It's Giga here, bringing you some more Series 9 Wi-Fi battles with live commentary. We're at the start of the month, which means we're back in Great Ball tier, and we're gonna hopefully see some cool teams because I always feel like there's always some exciting stuff happening there. But today we're trying out a cool new team. This is, or not a new team, a new to the channel. This is a team built by Jon Hu, who made it all the way to 29th place in the Players' Cup qualifier. So this team features some cool stuff that we haven't really seen before on the channel, particularly Jinx, which offers some really cool support with its lovely kiss and fake out, as well as Articuno. Articuno is something that I've never really been the biggest fan of, but I'm excited to see it here. It does have that tailwind support, it does have Hurricane and Freezing Glare, so if you choose to max it, it looks like it can be a really big threat. It also does have competitive, which is nice against so many intimidators of the format, automatically getting a boost to your special attack. There's also Alolan Marowak, which under Trick Room is just a pretty big threat to deal with. You have Porygon 2, which just, yeah, it sets Trick Room. One thing that I found really interesting, though, is the fact that there is Shadow Ball and Ice Beam, so there's no Tri-Attack or Eerie Impulse, which I feel like is pretty standard on Porygon 2, so it's cool to see something else. You also do have a pretty standard variant on Calm Mind Tapu Fini, and finally a Kartana with Assault Vest to round things out. So yeah, that's an overall link to our overall summary of the team. I'll make sure to include the PokePaste in the description. And yeah, with that, let's just hop into the first battle. All right, battle number 1. And this is a really interesting team. So it is Tapu Koko with Regieleki. You have a Torkoal Venusaur, and then finally you have Porygon and Rhyperior. So I think one thing that I'm obviously leaning towards is Alolan Marowak. I think the fact that it has Lightning Rod really puts me in an advantageous position. The thing that's scary is that Torkoal Venu, but I have Kartana for it. So honestly, I kind of like Marowak Kartana. Kartana, my opponent doesn't really have any good answers for, and then I think anything that would answer Kartana is stopped by Marowak. So I do like those two. Do I want Jinx? Restores. Yeah, so I don't really want to do Jinx here. I like Tapu Fini. It is obviously a little bit scary with all of those electric types, but I think we can be in a pretty... And Venusaur. I like Porygon, and then I guess... Do I want Articuno or Fini? I think Fini makes more sense. I would have liked to bring Articuno and Jinx, but I think these four make sense. And yeah, I feel like maxing Kartana probably makes the most sense because Venusaur tends not to have a good answer into it. And so I think we're in a really good position overall. I don't really have to worry too much about the electric types. So we're going to see Venusaur and Porygon 2, which is a really, really common lead too, with the idea that you have the flexibility of like putting things to sleep and then going for that Trick Room immediately. So I think we want to protect the Marowak and then just go for an Aerial Ace onto Venusaur, because Venusaur can't put me to sleep, and I want to prevent the Sleep Powder onto Marowak, because I think if we can get it under Trick Room, we'll be in a really good place. So we're going to see, I'm expecting the Sleep Powder, given the fact that they did not go for a max. And yeah, unfortunately, as a result of the Kobo, we're not going to do much, but they do set up the Trick Room for us. So I do feel pretty safe maxing. Yeah, I mean, they don't have any really good answers to Marowak, so I feel safe going for a Flare into that, and then we can Sacred Sword into the Porygon because they don't have any ghosts. The fear is, I mean, they could have Shadow Ball on Porygon 2. I know that that's pretty uncommon, but it's also not unheard of. I think, if anything, they're going to swap out the Venusaur for Torkoal. And so I'm hoping that we can try and get some big damage onto anything that wants to come out. So, okay, so they're just going to stay in. They're going to Ice Beam into Kartana, which does about half, because Kartana's special defense is pretty subpar, but we do pick up the easy knockout onto onto the Venusaur, which is a really good position to be in. And I'm hoping that we can also pick up a knockout onto this Porygon using Kartana. We do see Sacred Sword connect. Unfortunately, not enough, but not the worst position. Because what I'm thinking is if you bring out Torkoal... Okay, so they're going to bring out Rhyperior, which is interesting to me. What do I have in the back? I have Feeny, so I'm not necessarily super worried about it. I do still think we go for the Max Quake here for damage. And then... I kind of want to... I mean, there's nothing really stopping Porygon from recovering. Smart Strike. I'm going to go for a Smart Strike onto Rhyperior. I think the risk of doubling up into it is pretty high because it is very defensively bulky, and if we trigger a weakness policy, that's probably bad. But then what I'm hoping I can do, if that is the case, is we can bring out like Porygon to try and reverse the Trick Room, and then bring out Feeny, because committing to the max means that they can only pick up one target, but as I just remember... Oh, wow. Okay, so their Rhyperior is slower than Marowak, and that's really bad. They're going to get the special defense boost, which is fine. Yeah, we're going to see the Ice Beam into Kartana, which I think... Yeah, that was actually a knockout, and I should have switched out Kartana. I don't know why I stayed in. It was... Well, I was actually hoping for the free switch. So now I have a free switch into... that is less than ideal. And I think the fact that Rhyperior... Oh, yeah, and there's the weakness policy. So what? I need to... I could bring up Porygon... I think I have to bring out Porygon, and I have to reverse the Trick Room if I have any chance of winning. So what I can do is I can protect, and then I guess just... I don't want to say pray, but I kind of need to pray. So we can go for a max guard here. And then, yeah, we need to swap this Trick Room. And hopefully that will let Tapu Fini come in against this Rhyperior. They are going to Rockfall, which is, I think, very smart, because now they're getting even bulkier in special defense, and so it's going to be even that much harder for me to break through on the special side, especially if they're still maxed. So we're going to see their Porygon, correctly double up into my Porygon 2. My Porygon 2 hangs on with 1, and all you need is 1, which is great, because now we have a free switch into Tapu Fini. But unfortunately, they still do have max. They have a special defense boost. They have the special defense boost. They have the Sandstorm on their side, and they have a weakness policy. So, I mean, I don't want to say it's looking dire, but it's definitely not looking the best for this game. I think the fact that Marowak is slower, or was slower. Actually, no, that helped us, because then it means we didn't trigger their weakness policy until after ours. What I'm thinking, though, is... I mean, I feel like that was super obvious. They don't have that anymore. I could hope for the Flare Blitz burn. Honestly, I think that that's my best bet at this point. And yeah, I need to hope that we burn with the Flare Blitz. They are going to withdraw Porygon 2. We are going to see Torkoal, which, I mean, it does give a boost to the Flare Blitz, but it does weaken the Muddy Water. So I think that was a really smart play on their end, because now, while we do big damage onto the Torkoal, like, we are dealing with the fact that there is an accuracy drop. So do we get this burn? We do sizable damage with Marowak, but I think the fact that, we are knocked out at this point, unless we need to live this Max Quake. So if we do, I think there's a chance that we can make it a comeback. 177 down to 0. Yeah. Unfortunate, but I think if we had lived, we would have been in range of knocking out the Rhyperior as a result of it losing its max. So we could have gone for the... I guess we should have gone for the Protect there, but we did need the extra damage. But I think, if we had managed to pick up if we had managed to live with Fini, we would have had enough to finish the game off, because Porygon can't really do too much, and especially with Torkoal as well, like, that can't either, and we could have recovered off a lot of the damage with leftovers. But a little bit of a tough match. I think I also should have switched out Kartana a lot earlier instead of just letting Kartana die so easily. But it is a new team, still getting used to it, and I think mistakes are always fine, especially early on, and all you can kind of do is keep looking forward and push on to the next one. All right, game number 2, and this is interesting. So we're looking at Regirock, Zapdos, Grimmsnarl, Porygon with Rotom Wash, and a Rillaboom. So, I kind of like Jinx here. Do I like Jinx here? Moltres, I feel like we don't really need speed control. I do like Kartana, but obviously Zapdos is a big fear. I actually don't really have a good answer to Zapdos other than Jinx, really. I can't really go for a Trick Room option because of Regirock, which makes this hard. Yeah, I mean that Zapdos is the real big sort of threat. But we do actually, we could do Marowak for Lightning Rod, and then Marowak Feeny. Yeah, we could do Marowak Feeny with Kartana, and then Jinx in the back. I think Jinx in the back could be fun, having some options. And so what I'm thinking is basically using Marowak defensively to say, hey, you can't go for these big max lightnings because that's going to just get eaten up by the lightning rod, and then being in a position where I have something that can pretty comfortably set up. And so what I'm thinking is I don't necessarily want Marowak to be the max here because of the Regirock. And so let's see, they're sending out Zapdos, Grimmsnarl. Okay, so we do have Marowak and we do have Feeny. And so what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping we can get a Calm Mind up with Feeny. I think if we can get a Calm Mind up with Feeny, we'll be in a really good position. So I don't want to commit to max quite yet in the event that Grimmsnarl is Trick. So I'm just going to go for a Flare Blitz here and a Calm Mind. This is a little bit, let's see. This is a little bit tricky, I think, because of the fact that Zapdos is right there and it can very easily go for a Max Lightning. But I'm hoping they don't know what Marowak's ability is, because we are going to see that max. And so what I'm hoping is, as long as we can live one Airstream, I think Feeny will be in a pretty good spot overall, because we are taking away Zapdos' main form of damage, but they could easily just go for, they have Spirit Break on, or not Spirit Break, Fake Tears on the Zapdos, which is going to let them go for the Airstream onto Marowak. That's actually really bad. We do see the Life Orb. We are going to be able to get the Calm Mind up. What I can do, though, is... what do I do here? Kartana doesn't really do anything. You're bringing a Jinx. I think what I have to do is I have to double up the Grimmsnarl. I have to go for the Fake Out and the Max Starfall. I mean, this is going to be a +1 special defense, Tapu Fini, and it is max HP, so I'm hoping... I need to be able to live one Lightning, because then I always have the option of protecting the subsequent turn. So I have to hope that they target into Feeny. I live. I'm able to pick up the knockout on the Grimmsnarl. And then what I can do is I can protect the subsequent turn to guarantee that Feeny will stall out Zapdos' max. And then either go for a Lovely Kiss or an Ice Beam onto whatever comes in. But I think, this really depends on, will Feeny survive this next turn? So we are going to connect with the Fake Out, which is great. And then, I have to take... they're going... Okay, so they're going for another Airstream. And they go in Jinx. They bring Jinx down to its Focus Sash. So this is actually not the worst position to be in, especially if we can pick up a knockout the subsequent turn against their Grimmsnarl, which, I mean, I don't see Grimmsnarl living a +1 max Starfall, and yep, okay, cool. So they're going to go down. Let's see what my opponent wants to bring in, and I think that, because we're basically going to fodder Jinx. They're bringing out Porygon 2. They could go for a Trick Room. I think, I have to try and double up into, Lovely Kiss would be nice. I think I have to double up into the Zapdos this turn. Starfall is not very effective, right? Let's go for a Geyser. Yeah, because I don't know. I think this is my best bet. Kartana, luckily, is really offensive. We are going to see the Flare into the Jinx. So, unfortunate, very good call by my opponent to change the weather. And so now this, unfortunately, this max Geyser is not going to do too much, but their max is over. I'm assuming that they're going to go for, go for a Trick Room on the Porygon. Ugh, yeah, that did nothing. Very, very smart play on their call. I should have just gone for the Starfall. So we're going to see the Recover, which is actually really good. We can bring out the Kartana. This is tricky, though, because we know they have Heat Wave, but this is in the rain, and I'm hoping Kartana can live this Heat Wave right now. So we can go for a Sacred Sword into the Porygon and go for another Geyser into the Zapdos. The problem with Assault Vest, obviously, is we can't go for a Protect right now, which I think would actually be really beneficial. I wish, I wish that Assault Vest let you go for Protect, but obviously we can't all have everything. So, yeah, I mean, the Heat Wave makes the most sense. They're going to go for Hurricane, which actually that makes way more sense, because now you don't even have to worry about the rain and the fact that you have the 100% accuracy. So we are going to be attempting to solo this with Feeny. I don't necessarily, I mean, this is a full HP Feeny. We do have Calm Mind, and we do have a way to stall out. We haven't seen Eerie Impulse on the Porygon, so I am feeling okay about this. I think, yeah, whatever their fourth is really going to determine how the rest of this goes. So their fourth is Regirock. So this is actually a pretty good position to be in. I don't feel comfortable. I could go for the Muddy Water. Do I go for Calm Mind first? I am at +1. Regirock doesn't have the highest special defense. I think we go for the Muddy Water. We do double connect. The thing, though, is I need to see how much this does into Regirock. Okay, great. It takes out the Regirock in the rain. We did get a crit. I don't think that matters too much because it is stab super effective in rain at +1. But I obviously don't know Feeny Calc super well. But yeah, I think at this point, the fact that we do have Calm Mind, and it looks like they don't have Recover, Eerie Impulse, given the fact that we saw Ice Beam, I think this is like a pretty fine spot just to go for like 1 or 2 Calm Minds to guarantee that they can't keep Recover stalling. Okay, so we are going to see Tri-Attack. So it's not actually 100% over, 177 down to 141. We do get 2+2. So yeah, this confirms that they don't have Eerie Impulse, but they do have like a decent amount of damage. I think I want to go for probably 1 more Calm Mind. I think, yeah, they would need to get pretty lucky. Okay, so they're just going to cancel. I think it wasn't completely over. I think they could have like critted with the Tri-Attack, the Tri-Attack, or gotten a Freeze. I think a Freeze definitely would have made it a little bit scary because it would have meant that they could have like 2 or 3 turns before I had a chance to thaw out, and that really would have let them do well. but glad we were able to pull that one through. I was really scared because it was pretty much Tapu Fini soloing most of this, and I think the fact that my opponent didn't target into Fini really helped, because then it got set up, it was at full HP, and then, yeah, I was able to finish things off. So, good battle. Let's just keep rocking and rolling and move to the next one. All right, battle number 3, and this is a really interesting team. It is Togekiss with, what's it called? Thundurus Incarnate? This one, Landorus T, oh no, they're both Therian. Thundurus Therian, you have a Metagross, a Rillaboom, and an Urshifu. So Marowak is really good into my opponent under Trick Room, and they don't, and I mean Jinx is really good as well. So Jinx, Porygon I think also has Ice Beam. Yeah, this Porygon has Ice Beam, so like Jinx Porygon is a really good lead, I think, overall in terms of pure damage. They can't really do too much against it. The fear though is Metagross, but I think Jinx, Porygon for sure. Marowak is a really nice option if we can let it get set up. And then what? Tapu Fini, probably not the best option because of the Thundurus and the Rillaboom. I could bring Cortana again. Honestly, I like Fini a little bit more. I could bring Articuno. I haven't really brought Articuno, but I don't really see it doing too much because I want to play to Trick Room. So I think Tapu Fini makes a little bit more sense. The obvious fear though is Metagross turn 1 going for an Iron Head onto the Jinx, but we do have access to Fake Out, which I think is really good. We can also basically use Jinx as bait to try and set up the Trick Room. So for my opponent, we're going to see a Rillaboom and what's it called? Yeah, in Metagross. So I don't really see how they can stop me from setting up Trick Room. The main question though is, what is the speed on Jinx? Because I do expect an Iron Head or a Max Steel Spike into the Jinx slot. What is Jinx's speed? Jinx is 146, so we know it's going to outspeed Rillaboom. I feel pretty comfortable going for a Fake Out here and then setting up Trick Room. And what I'm hoping is they max the Metagross. No, I don't want them to max the Metagross because I don't want them to get a defense boost. But what I'm thinking is we can set up in a way for Marowak to come in, because Marowak doesn't fear Rillaboom. So they're not maxing, which is nice. We do get the flinch off. They are going to, Iron Head onto the Jinx. Jinx is going to go down to 1 HP, which doesn't really matter. So now is the question of how do we play this? Because Jinx, is alive. We could, because I don't know if Metagross has policy. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of Metagross having a policy and us proccing it. I'm going to go for a Lovely Kiss on the Metagross, and I'm going to just Ice Beam the Rillaboom. I don't expect... Oh, okay, so this is actually really good, because they're just going to Bullet Punch into the Jinx, which means that I can bring out Marowak without them getting a defense boost. And we're going to be able to get this Ice Beam off into Rillaboom. That did a good amount of damage. And we're going to see a knockoff, which is, I think, fine. It's a little bit unfortunate, but I think given the fact that there is grassy terrain, given the fact that it did so much, we're in a really good position because we should be able to pick up the one-shot with this Max Flare, and then we can Ice Beam the Rillaboom as well. And hopefully getting this double knockout will be a big deal because my opponent really can't stop it. So Flare. Click this. Phantasm is 140 versus 140. I would much rather have the Flare up, and then we can Ice Beam the Rillaboom. And so I think this is, because nothing my opponent has left, right? They have Landorus, they have Thundurus. What else do they have? I'm trying to think if they have anything that can really take a Max Flare from this Marowak. The tricky thing, though, is what? If they switch out Landorus for Rillaboom, which they can't even really do, because then it's going to eat an Ice Beam. But the fear, though, is if they proc a Policy on the Metagross and are able to live this Max Flare. That's actually the scariest situation. But I think given the fact that they did not go for a Steel Spike into the Jinx when they had the chance, puts us in a really good position because they don't have any defense boost. And we do have Marowak, which is like, it honestly hits like a truck. It's kind of absurd at time, but it's Calxar. And so we're going to, okay, so they're not even going to max the Metagross. They're just going to go straight for, they're going to eat this Max Flare. There's no doubt in my mind. Yep, Metagross is down. And we're going to be able to knock out the Rillaboom with this Ice Beam. So now it's 2v3. We do have Trick Room and we do have Marowak. The problem, obviously, is they still have their Dynamax. And the fear is if it's Landorus. But even then, Landorus isn't super scary because of the fact that we have Porygon with Ice Beam. And we have Feeny in the back. Feeny in the back, though, is a little bit tricky just as a result of the fact that there is the Sun Up, which we need for Marowak. But, okay, so we do see the Landorus, which is fine by me, and we see Togekiss. Okay, so Togekiss, I'm actually really not worried about right now. The Landorus is the big threat, so I want to double up into it. I think, yeah, Flare and then an Ice Beam into it. And then Feeny, Togekiss, I can't really see. Okay, cool. So they're going to cancel. I think that was the right call. They couldn't do enough damage into me, and I would have been able to easily take care of the Landorus. And then Togekiss versus what I had left, couldn't see it pulling a comeback. But because that battle was so quick and because it's the start of the season, let's just play one more. And yeah, I'll see all of you in game number 4. All right, next game. And this is, So we're looking at a Galarian Zapdos, Regirock, Heatran, what's it called? Dragon Hydreigon, a Rillaboom, and a Regieleki. I do really like Jinx here. I like Jinx Articuno. Because my thought is we get the Fake Out and then we get the Tailwind. And under Tailwind, this team does really well. I think the fact that they don't have really... Yeah, let's do Jinx Articuno because I want the Tailwind up. And I don't think they have a good way to stop it. And we could even potentially max this Articuno depending on what they bring. Tapu Fini for sure. I think it hits into my opponent's team so well. It's definitely a great max option. Yeah, it hits into Zapdos, Regirock, Heatran, the Hydreigon, Regieleki, not so much, but that's fine. And then we could bring Marowak. I think Marowak is fine as a non-max option with the idea that the Lightning Rod support is really great, and the fact that we are able to, take the Lightning Rod support is really great, and the fact that we are able to deal with Rillaboom, which otherwise is a huge threat to Tapu Fini. But I think, yeah, Jinx Articuno gives us a really solid lead. So we are going to see Regieleki with Hydreigon. So this is actually... Hydreigon, I think, is faster than Articuno, but I want to try still Fake Out and a Tailwind. I think if we can get the Tailwind off, we're in a really good position. Because then what we can do is we can bring out Feeny to deal with the Hydreigon, and then... so they are going to Dark Pulse. They're going to Dark Pulse into Articuno. Articuno is going to go down. That's really tricky. I think we bring out Feeny. I think we do bring out Feeny. I think we can safely go for a Calm Mind and then swap Jinx out into Marowak. It is a little unfortunate that we are so far down so early, but Hydreigon doesn't really have good answers into Tapu Fini. So I think Marowak for sure, and then go for the Calm Mind. The fear, obviously, though, is some Regielekis do carry Hyper Beam, and if they are a Hyper Beam variant, I think if they're a Hyper Beam variant and they go for it, we're pretty much out of the game. We do get the Lightning Rod, which is great because they're not going to be able to lower our HP. It is tricky to... oh, wait, they still do damage into me? Okay, so I don't understand how Lightning Rod works. They are going to Dark Pulse into Marowak. Marowak, unfortunately, is going to go down. I really don't understand how this game works. Yeah, that was actually a really obvious swap. We do get to at least get the Calm Mind up on Tapu Fini. And I think what we can... Yeah, I thought, I didn't realize how Electro Web works in relation to Lightning Rod. That's my bad. Let's bring out Jinx, mainly because we have to. I think we can, protect the Jinx. Protect the Jinx, go for the knockout, or fake out the Hydreigon and go for the max onto the Regieleki. The Regieleki is not super... I mean, not the Regieleki. The Hydreigon's not super intimidating. I'm hoping that if we knock out the Regieleki this turn, we can be in a better position next turn. But, I mean, I kind of expect my opponent just to go for a Thunderbolt onto Tapu Fini. We are going to see the Fake Out connect, but yeah, I do expect something like, Thunderbolt, 220. We do live, which is good. The Hydreigon is going to flinch in this case. We are going to be able to get that Starfall off, and hopefully this picks up the knockout, which, okay, so we do get the knockout. I think, it's, that was an unnecessary sacrifice of Marowak, because I didn't know. I thought Lightning Rod would make it so Electro Web just didn't work at all. And especially, here comes Rillaboom, which is going to be able to pretty freely pick up a knockout onto Tapu Fini, unless I can one-shot it with... I could... Oh, that's actually what I should do, because there's Grassy Terrain up. So I should go for the Lovely Kiss, because if I can put it to sleep... Okay, so they're going to max Rillaboom. They could max Hydreigon. They probably... I don't see why you would max... there is the speed drop. So there is the argument for Rillaboom. And it is the Rillaboom. So what we need to do is we need to put it to sleep with Jinx. And then I think there's a way we can kind of come back from this. I think this game is essentially over, and I'm just kind of fighting for my life. We're seeing the Dark Pulse connect onto Jinx. Jinx is going to go down to its Focus Sash. So now the question is, do we connect with Lovely Kiss? Hydreigon's getting kind of low. Lovely Kiss does connect. Nice. So this is one of Rillaboom's guaranteed sleep turns. What we can do now is have... Oh, Jinx doesn't have Protect. That's really bad. Luckily, Hydreigon is taking a fair bit of chunk. It is going to... Oh, it's Levitate, so it doesn't actually recover. So we can go for an Ice Beam on a Rillaboom and a Starfall on a Rillaboom. I think if we can get it 2 turns of sleep, we should be good. The Dark Pulse, unfortunately, is going to knock out Jinx. Smart call. And now the question, though, is what are the number of sleep turns? Because this Rillaboom could wake up at any point. And so we do get 1 turn of sleep, which is really good. Let's see how much we're going to be able to do with this Starfall. Starfall is going to do... It needs to do half, and it does not. So I mean, this is probably game, especially given the fact that we are ending our max this turn. So I'm trying to think, given Regieleki Hydreigon, I should not have sacrificed Marowak. I didn't realize that Electro Web would have still hit. Nice. Yeah, if I'd known Electro Web would have still hit, I would not have done that. I would have tried to set up better. I didn't also expect the Hydreigon to knock me out with Dark Pulse, but I mean, it is incredibly bulky. I mean, not bulky, offensive. So I'm trying to think what would have been a better lead. I do like Jinx. I think Jinx was the best option. I think it was just frustrating because of the fact that I actually should have done Jinx Tapu Fini. I think Jinx Tapu Fini would have been the best bet, because then I could have fake outed onto the Regieleki, then knocked out the Hydreigon with Moonblast, and then they would have gotten a free switch into Rillaboom, and then I think I would have been able to like switch Rillaboom out into the Alolan Marowak and used Marowak's Lightning Rod then, where it would have been expected to Thunderbolt into Feeny and have something like a Grassy Glide, and that would have let Jinx go for an Ice Beam or something else. So I think that definitely would have been the better play. I did not expect to get one shot by Hydreigon, but I have no idea what Articuno's calcs are as a result of never playing it. But I think it was a good first game. I'm glad we were able to at least win half of them. Great start to the season. Hopefully we can quickly work our way back up to Master Ball, hopefully by the end of the weekend. Use this team for some more good runs, and hopefully some of the teams that I've been building will be ready by then. Like I said, I've been trying to shiny hunt them for whatever reason. But yeah, until next time, I hope all of you are wonderful, and I'll see you then.